So I'm almost 4 weeks in now to my new life in the van life, and it's got good points. It's got bad points, like everything. It's taken a while to adjust. For the last 40 years of my life, I've always had a plan. I've always had goals and aspirations, and I've worked bloody hard. And now I wake up in the morning and I've got no plans, I've got no goals, and I've got no aspirations, which is actually not a bad thing, but it's just taking a little bit of time to adjust. So what are the good things about van life? Okay, so I'm not living in that rat race anymore. 40 years of probably averaging 60, 70 hours a week in my career. It's bloody hard work being a chef. Not going to lie, it's taken its toll on me at points in my life. So I'm glad that I'm kind of like out the rat race. Emotionally challenging sometimes, but in that life, life as a whole can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster, as I'm sure it is for everyone. It's not easy sometimes, is it? It can be challenging. So 6 weeks ago, I walked away from a very successful business. I walked away from an 11-year relationship. The love of my life, it really was. But things didn't quite work out the way that I had planned. But again, it's life, isn't it? Some things are out of our control, and unfortunately, that was one of them. It was out of my control. So I've opted for this life. I've opted to move out of bricks and mortar. I've opted to get away from the stresses and strains of life that so many people are struggling with. And I've taken a massive leap of faith, I suppose. But it's already, I can see challenges, but at the same time I can also see the benefits. Some of the challenges, when it comes just to the van itself, part of me turbo's gone on my van, so luckily at the moment I'm on Southsea down in Portsmouth, and I'm waiting for a part to be delivered, but that's not going to be here until Wednesday. Then I've got to try and find a mechanic to book it, to get it all sorted out, and it's an expense. It's not a small expense either. Already that's going to be about an £800 bill. I've had to replace the water pump on my water system. The pump went. My van's been sat up on the drive for the last 3 years, and I suppose things are going to happen. If they've been sat around, it's not been used for the last 3 years, things are going to have issues. And the water pump, I've had to replace. Again, that's another expense, and a bit of stress added on at the same time, because I didn't have any fresh water for 3 or 4 days. But luckily I've met some people already that have living the van life as well, and it's kind of like you work together in a situation like that, and they've helped me out with water and showers and stuff like that, so you can always get by. So yeah, you're going to have problems with the van itself, and maybe the equipment that you've got in the van. But then that's no different to living in a house, I suppose. You're going to have problems. You're going to have problems with the boiler or leaks or whatever. So it's the same really. No different in that respect. One of the biggest challenges, again for the last, as long as I can remember, I've always had people around me, whether it be a relationship or work colleagues or whatever. I like my solitude every now and then. I like time on my own, as we all do. But then when you're on your own for too long, that's when the emotion of loneliness can take hold. And that's sometimes that can be quite difficult to deal with it. With the loneliness, probably one of the most difficult emotions to challenges to deal with. But again, that's just a moment in time. Most of the time I still have people around me now. I've already met a lovely bunch of people living in their vans, or even just part-time living in their vans, not all full-time. Some of them just like part-timers doing it at the weekends and stuff like that. And again, that's a positive thing. I'm listening to other people's stories, and it's nice to hear their backgrounds. And what I've come to realise is that some people, mine is a choice. Mine's not done out of necessity. I'm not living in my van out of necessity. It's a lifestyle choice that I've decided to make. But some people have got no choice, and unfortunately, that has boiled down to broken relationships, broken families, and I met one guy the other day. It's a smashing bloke, 40 years of age, and him and his wife have separated, but he's done the manly thing and carried on paying the mortgage on the house and paying his way towards the kids and stuff. And by the time he gets his wages at the end of the month and he's paid for all that, he hasn't got any left for himself. So he's kind of like being forced to live in a van, and again, because he didn't have the finances to get all the amenities that are required for living van life, like a shower and a toilet. He's just living in the back of a van with a double mattress at the moment. And that's quite hard to see because he was a smashing guy. But he gets by. He goes to the uses the leisure centres for showers, and he's buying bottled water. He's got a little stove in his van, for hot coffee or hot drinks and bits and bobs like that. But he's got no fridge, he's got no toilet, he's got no shower. And he's been thrown at the deep end. He hasn't got a choice. He's got no family to help him out, and he's still paying for his ex-wife and paying for the kids and stuff like that, because she's a full-time mother because the kids are only still really young. So you hear that side of the thing as well, where people are doing it because they've got no choice. So I'm doing it because I want to experience a different way of life. I'm not going to say that I'm going to do it forever, because I don't know. And like I said, I've always had a plan. I've always had goals. I've always had aspirations. But I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And in a way, that's a little bit daunting. But also, as well, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, because I'm waking up to this. I'm waking up to that in the mornings, and other beautiful locations and stuff like that. I'm waking up to fresh air, and I'm cooking every day, eating really, really healthy food, and so yeah, my emotions at the moment, are a little bit mixed up, but overall, the whole experience is a positive experience. And I've got, obviously I've got my dogs with me as well, and they're keeping me company. Like I said, I've met some really, really lovely people along the way, and creating almost like a social life with them. But again, how long that's going to last for, I don't know, because I'm not going to stay in this location forever. Once I do get my van sorted out next week, who knows where I'm going to go. I've got some plans for July, and I've got to go and meet some people up in London and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, that's all positive stuff. But again, living in the van itself, I'm lucky. I've got everything that I need. I've got a nice comfortable bed. I've got a hot shower, fridge, freezer, and I've got running water and a toilet, and it's a nice, simple life, and I'm actually really, really enjoying it. Like I said, there are certain things I miss about my old life. Of course there is, I do miss my ex, but again, some things are just, not meant to be, and as sad as it is, that was one of those things that just didn't go quite according to plan. As hard as it was, I had to make a life decision, and yeah, it was a tough decision, but I think it was for both of our benefits, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, but like I said, that's just an emotion that over time will get easier and easier. Like everything in life, it's time is a healer, and it's going to take a little while for me to. It's going to take a while for me to find my old self again, and I think that's what happens when you get into a place in life where things are maybe not quite working out, things are a bit challenging and a little bit difficult, it turns you into somebody that quite possibly you're naturally not. So the person that I become over the last few years is not the true reflection of me, you know, and unfortunately a lot of the time that's life gets in the way, you know, having to be in that rat race and listening to all the negativity and the news and everything else that's going on, and it's tough. It's tough. But like I said, time is a healer, and I'm not listening to any news. I haven't got a clue what's going on in the outside world. It might be a little bit selfish, I suppose, but actually no, it's not. Maybe it's not. Yeah, it's better for my mental health if I don't watch all the crap that's going on. You know, I hear bits and bobs. You know, I've heard what's happened recently with this politician. You know, that's really, really sad. And it's becoming a tough old world out there for a lot of people. And again, that's why I've taken this chance to step away from it and like reassess my life. I've got no plans, which again is a nice thing. I'm not going to do this forever, maybe, I don't know, who knows, I've got no idea. Who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? I don't. And that's to a point that's a little bit daunting, but it's also really, really exciting because I've always been a bit of an adventurer. And yeah, as long as I can wake up to places like this every day and I don't have to get up and do 12, 14 hours a day in a hot, sweaty kitchen anymore, you know, I don't miss that. Still really, really passionate about my cooking, and I'm cooking every day and cooking for you know, these other guys living in their vans and stuff, and I'm cooking for strangers on the street, which is great. Keep my brain busy, hence the reason why I started doing the YouTube channel. So, you know, if you do see any of my posts on Facebook, you know, if you could maybe take the time just to click on them and watch the videos and like them, you know, it helps me out. Don't know where it's going to lead. It could lead to having a little bit of an income. But more than anything, it's something just to keep my brain busy and keep me occupied. Otherwise I would be sat around all day doing nothing, and that would do my head in. So yeah, I've got a lot to learn. So that's a little bit about the van life, you know, good points and bad points, and I think as time goes on, I think the good points are going to become more and the bad points are going to become less. But again, time is a healer. Love to you all.